All right. Hello, golfers. I have Harry Kroner with me today. Well, first off, my name is Erik Schjolberg of EJS Golf, and I have Harry with me today. Harry has a master's in psychology, and he's also does some hypnotherapy. I met Harry quite a while ago to talk to him about golf and some of my teachings and what to do with certain students, and actually myself too, with some problems I was having in the mental game. So today I want to focus with you, Harry, on helping golfers out there with their mental game. So guys, this isn't one of my videos that you always see on technique. We're not going to be talking TrackMan numbers or anything like that today. We're going to be talking about your mind. So welcome,
Right.
Harry.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Erik. This is fun to do it. It was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, the mind game, the mental game is a big thing.
Yep.
As you mentioned, it's a really big issue and a challenge for, as you mentioned, for yourself and for your clients. So I'm going to ask you, Erik. So let's start it by telling me what's an issue that's a lot of your clients encounter in their mental game.
You know, I'd say number one problem that I see is this is in my lessons, I get people to do a good practice swing finally, which I find is the first step is, hey, can you do this practice swing? And then, okay, they got the practice swing down. They're doing really well. It looks well. And then we step over the ball to hit a ball and it all goes haywire. And they can't understand why. I just made these perfect practice swings. What is the problem here? So that I would say that's number one. And we'll get into later carrying it from the practice or from the range to the golf course, problems with that, but you know, a few other issues. But number one complaint I hear is probably that I got a great practice swing and the ball gets in there and it's over. So I'll let you kind of address that, what you think is going on, why people can't transfer that. I have a few ideas, but mentally, I think you have that wrapped up more than I do.
Yeah, no, we'll just talk about that for a few moments now. But what I think is one of the most important thing is that pressure, that it moved from a more free flow idea of like, oh, I'm just doing a practice swing. I don't have the pressure of performance. And once the pressure of performance, oh my, I have to hit that ball really perfectly, just as good as I did in the ball in my practice swing, and or even better. And suddenly the pressure causes people to start doing all kind of weird little things inside their heads, like. And again, then goes the little inner negative talk. It's one of the things that always happen. Like, oh, I know, I usually screw it up. All kinds of
huge
self-fulfilling prophecies, and they're like, oh wow, everybody's watching me, or like I really have to make this ball because like this is my score right now. Keeping like, oh, my score, and I have to make it two more before I make that. No, to make sure I don't fall behind everybody else. And so all that pressure suddenly converges into that one moment of like, okay, that was my practice. Now everything is on. All that pressure, all that burden, all that thing that makes you. I think there's a technical name for it, like when you're kind of jerking your hands in the wrong way. I think you mentioned.
Oh, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll come back to that word. I know what you're saying, but
So it is about, as we talked about before. So actually, why don't you tell me a little more about from what I know about that? And so what are some of your insights about that part, moving from practice swing to?
I think you nailed it. All those things that come together, those thoughts for everybody. I have this perfect swing, practice swing. Now I want to really perform it when the ball's in front, okay, or in front of me and I'm getting ready to hit. So, you know, maybe at some point, the first time you do it, you know, there's no big deal. And maybe you hit it bad. And then it gets in your head, these negative thoughts about going from practice swing to that. Okay, I just do all these perfect practice swings and I come here. So whether it happened a long time ago to you, or if you're a new student and you're doing these good practice swings and you come and whenever that thought forms in your head, all golfers have that formation because we swing so freely. And the key word here is swing freely when there's no ball. But this is my belief is that we try to hit the ball when the ball's in front of us. No longer are we swinging and letting the ball get in the way of our swing. It becomes, oh, I need to hit it to get it, like you said, all those reasons, because I need to get it to this spot. I need to shoot this score. There's so much stuff that becomes paramount in this person's mind, or there's water on the right side, there's water on the left, all these negative thoughts that do not need to enter your head. Okay. I mean, I've learned techniques to deal with it through you, but not it's a hard, this is a game I call, everybody comes to me and wants consistency. And what I try to
That's right.
explain to them, this game is an inconsistent game. So you can't get consistency in an inconsistent game. All we can try to do is be less inconsistent, right? So
That's right.
if you're normally 30 yards off each way, let's try to get it to 20 yards. How often do all of you guys hit a shot that you want to? Not often. We're off 12 feet, 10 feet. That's great. The tour guys from 200 yards average 40 feet away from the pin. The tour guys, so there is that pressure that mounts. But the biggest thing I would say is that I see is the thought process of going from swing to hit the ball. So, the techniques to get out of it, I've learned some from you, but what can you tell these students? What can they do how can they shoo these thoughts out of their mind? The process of shooing them out of their mind to get to the point where they can think of just reproducing that swing that they just did.
Right.
And transferring to the ball. And then the other thing is this, Harry, is you hit it really bad, let's say. How do you wipe that clean? And I know I'm going way ahead and throwing a million things at you right now, because to me, I find that the mental game the most fascinating part. And that's why I love coaching. That's why I love playing, because it's all about this mental game of golf. We all struggle with it every day. And it's a new thing, every day. We play great one day, terrible the next day. What do we do? How do we handle it? And then the other thing I think that comes into play is expectations. What expectation do we have of that shot? Did we just hit it yesterday within 5 feet? Now we're 30 feet away. So, but let's get back to what we were talking about here. How the transfer from practice swing to full swing. What can these guys think about, or what can they not think about to shoo these thoughts out of their mind? That creep in, these negative thoughts.
Yeah, and I want to actually enter some points that when we worked on it, you have made. It's about moving the focus from the ball to the swing, and not only that, but towards where do you want the ball to go, not focusing on the ball.
Correct.
So that's just a more golfy terms here, but more specifically for that. And so focusing on what, not where, not about the ball itself, but the swing and where you want it to go. So when you shift that focus of awareness and your attention, you already are moving your. It's like the same thing with like a bow and arrow. You don't focus on the arrow; you focus on where you want it to go. So it's the same thing in many different games.
It is,
and so it's the same principle, and the most important part is shifting how do you erase those negative talks? How do you erase the fact that you just, like as you said, just screwed up, completely screwed up your previous swing, and moving yourself into a better space, better mental space, so you can allow yourself to be in your full potential.
Correct.
So it's the first thing is to allow yourself, and we talked about that in a beautiful way. It's about the most important shot is not the one that was there before, not the one, my next shot, but it's the one I'm doing right now. This is the most important shot. It's right now, right here, and you're standing there, and again, those thoughts can cause you to overcorrect or overswing or too much power, too less power, because you're trying to manipulate it in a conscious way instead of allowing your flow to just take place. Because even if you're a beginner, your intuitive flow is a lot more important, because there's so many. If you think about this, like thousands of little calculations that happen in each and every swing that your body does, and your body knows what you want to do. You don't go and spend your days thinking, oh, okay, how do I put one foot in front of the other when I walk? You just don't do it. You just walk. So allowing your body, allowing your mind to do all those beautiful calculations ahead of time, and just knowing this is what I want to do. And with that, with increased coaching and increase that to really improve your actual work. But when you do that, to being like, okay, my body, my mind knows what I want to do, and just allowing it to happen without the overcorrections or the self-doubt takes place. So moving into that space is first of all taking that deep breath and say, like, I'm just working on this shot right here, right now.
Yeah, Harry, and that's what, right, I'm sorry to interrupt you, because that was what helped me the most right there, that breath. And it clears you out,
Yes.
and for somebody who, you've taught me how to do meditation, and I've learned how to do that. Before I did that, I'd probably be like, what? Breath? What's this going to do? But
Yeah.
now I've, not, the tour guys, they all do it. If you watch them closely, they're all
Yeah,
taking this breath before. Yes. And then blowing it
and
out.
then they can do it. Yeah.
Then they can go, what are they doing? The pros at that point, what is this breath all about? And what's happening when you do this? Psychologically, what's going on?
It is about releasing everything else, all that pressure that we talked about in the beginning, all the pressure, all the mind, and allowing yourself to be again in that free flowing swing mode, and just allowing it to take place without the distractions, because it's all about, eventually it's all distractions, mental distractions. And I want to address the next thing I want to address is the distractions in the field. You alluded to that, but as you said, like, think about, I have water on my left, I have water on my right, I have all these obstacles I need to all the bunkers and all this. I need to avoid all this stuff. And when you do that, your attention shifts to them, and it shifts your swing. It shifts your
explain that, Harry. Why, when we think about a bunker or the water on the right, how come so many people then hit the bunker or they end up in the water? Like, why? How does that happen? Like, why does that happen to people? Explain that.
Yeah. So let's do a fun trick here. Like, don't think of a red balloon. Don't think of a red balloon. Don't think of a red balloon.
Good luck.
Yes, exactly. So the problem is our subconscious mind does not understand no's or don't. It only hears red balloon. So if you hear, so your subconscious mind is like, I don't want to hit the bunker. I don't want to hit the water. The only thing that your mind is water. There's water.
Wow. Yes.
Focus on the water. So it shifts your focus and diverts your attention to that. At that point, it's an obstacle, but your mind doesn't know, like, I can't hit at the water. Again, your subconscious mind works that way, and we need to understand that.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge, Harry, to understand what our mind understands.
Exactly.
That it doesn't
how we comprehend things.
How we comprehend things. That's huge. The easy fix for that, well, I don't want to say any of this is easy in the mental game, but the focus that I learned from you is, although I knew it before, but really doing it is focusing on our target. Where are we trying to go? And what is the shot we're hitting? No longer about, but what happens if I am focusing on this target and I get this creeping into my mind of this water on the right? What can I do to move that out of my mind? Even though I'm focusing, I feel like, obviously I'm not 100% on the target, but what can I do if that is creeping in? The red balloon's creeping in.
Yeah. So taking a deep breath again and allowing yourself to release that. I'm releasing that thought from my mind, releasing that distraction, and shifting my awareness and focus again to the target. What am I here? So even if you take another moment, you take another breath before you swing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, now, oops, my mind. Half the trick is the awareness. I'm aware that something is creeping in. I need to take another moment.
You want to recognize what you're saying?
Oh yeah, you want to recognize it's in there. It's distorting my thinking.
Okay.
And I need to just take a deep breath, release it, and just like let the swing take place. And this is my target, and I'm swinging towards my target. And until you're clear. And this is why sometimes we see people take another moment before they swing, because they need to clear those extra distractions from themselves. And sometimes distractions are from around you, from the surrounding, whether it's and I want to talk about social pressures, the social anxiety around this, about the fact that you have your friends around there and they're really good, and you don't want to screw it up. You don't want to be at the bottom, and all that social stature and all that kind of stuff. And who's the better golfer and all that kind of stuff that just, even if they're nice and not rub it in your face, it still is there, and you created your own pressure on yourself about that. So again, taking that deep breath, releasing all those, I don't need to, this is just a distraction, and focusing on, I need to get right now to swing and move my ball towards my target, and that's it.
Yeah. And I can't, we can talk about it all day, and I can tell you this, from doing it and getting other students to do it is, until you practice it and do it, will you fully realize how benefit. I was blown away at the change this breath made. And I'll be frank with everybody, what happened to me is that I'm a golf professional, and I was having chipping issues only when people were around. And we came to find out that why was this? It was pressure I was putting on myself that, hey, everybody knows I'm a golf professional. I should be doing this. I should be great at everything I do because I'm a golf professional, even though I don't get to practice much or anything because I'm so busy teaching or whatever. But these were pressures I was putting on myself. And this is where you helped me, was getting me to breathe. And I couldn't believe how much that breath helped, and just focusing on the target, and it was cleared. It's almost like, to me, doing it, you can't think of anything more when you're breathing. You take that breath and you breathe out, it clears you. And it's amazing how your mind can, it seems like when you're blown out and doing that, you cannot focus on that bad stuff anymore. It's like it can't handle two things at once. Is that a good way of putting it?
That's part of the fact, but we also program the breath to do that for you. So
yeah. There's another part.
Yeah, that's another part that is the thing. So
part out.
Yeah, so it's a visualization of, like, when I take a breath, all the distractions from my surrounding, it just disappears, and I've created myself a nice little bubble of wellness in which I'm just with myself. I no longer feel the pressure of those around me. I no longer feel any pressures. I just am one with the golf course. I'm one with the ball, and that's the feeling that comes with it. Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I just feel like it's just me out there, and that's it. Nobody's around, and I get to perform. It's an amazing, fun feeling, and it's amazing the change that it makes. But it's all about breath. So talk a little more about social pressures of the friends being around and those anxieties that those bring along. And is that the same as thinking of the water on the right?
In some
same
way,
issue.
It is a distraction. It is a distraction in that way, and that's the hard thing that brings on. But it is more than that, because it is about we are social animals, and social structure is important to us, and focusing on that, and it goes sometimes a little deeper than we even think about. It is just kind of lurking in the background, and kind of an undercurrent of just general uncomfortableness when everybody's looking at you, and there literally are sometimes just looking at you, looking at your swing, and I know sometimes, and it is hard because sometimes you're surrounded with people who make snarky comments about your swing, or so it accumulates. It accumulates because you're being judged. So it's about feeling judged. It's about feeling that your performance is always being people are looking at you with a microscope. And that causes a lot of pressure, a lot of internal pressure that makes you be overly conscious of the fact that you're being watched, and you're being assessed, and you're being it causes you to, when you're self-conscious, it causes us to really worry about how we're looking, how we're swinging, how we're doing, and that throws you off from the actual natural intuitive flow. Which as we talked about, that's the most important part. So releasing that and knowing, like, you know what, it doesn't matter. They, again, allow you to take that deep breath and just releasing yourself from that pressure, from even their existence around you at that moment, and just allowing yourself to just be the flow of your knowledge.
And I think the neat thing I've learned about it is that it's a really special moment when you do that stuff, because you do get to be in that flow, and you get to be part of the course, and you get to be by yourself without these distractions, even though they're all around you. And it seems to be a much more satisfying a game at that point. And even if you don't hit the perfect shot, at least it was just you right there trying to perform it, and you messed up. Sure, we're all going to mess shots up, but you move on to the next one. But at least it wasn't because all these other things were going on in your mind. You get to focus on your shot, and that ability to get into that zone is absolutely incredible.
It's essential.
It's absolutely essential.
Yeah. And it's just being in the now. That's the key, being in the now.
And the other thing I see, this is probably number 2, I would say, that I get, is that I'm a great range player. I go to the range, before I go to play, right? And this is what they'll tell me is I hit it great. I'm an absolute pro on the range. I go to the course, I'm a 25 handicap. They cannot get through what they do to the range. And I talk to them a lot about expectations in that case, because, and I know it is the same, but I want to throw out this expectations things that I talk a lot about, that if we go to the range and hit a lot of good shots, we expect a good round. We expect to hit the ball really well. And what happens on the first hole when we play and hit 4 bad shots? We're crushed mentally already.
That's right.
So yeah, and it ruins people's game from the very get-go. And all these golfers out here will know what I'm talking about. A lot of times when you have a bad range session, you'll play good because your expectations are 0. You don't think you're going to play well. So I think, expectations are huge into what we're doing. I guess the question is setting correct expectations is huge, for what we're supposed to do. What would be, I guess.
Yeah, I got you. What would be a way of addressing that? Yeah, about expectation.
Yeah. How would you address that? Everybody's different, I think.
So expectations has a couple of things, and another part of human nature is our desire. Like, oh, I once hit it. No, 2 times. No, two. How do you say, like 2 under par? And from now on, that's my standard.
Yeah, that's your standard.
Because now I did it once, and that's my best I've ever did. But now it's my standard. Yeah. So it causes us to have those unrealistic, as you said. It's about an inconsistent game. It's an unrealistic expectations of self. Yep. And when we again have that one time that we hit it once perfectly, and then why do we not hit it perfectly from that moment on?
It's your expectation.
It's just it's ridiculous expectation. It's you creating yourself. It's basically creating a version of yourself in your mind that is perfect, and that perfect self is almost impossible to satisfy. Yeah, that perfect, and that relates to anything you do in life. Again, there's that perfect self that is, we have a kind of up on a pedestal that we put out there, like, oh, that's the perfect golfer that I am, and then you always are bound to disappoint yourself if you are holding yourself to that standard, which is again once in a million. From your own self. It's your highest potential or your best performance, and it cannot be the standard. It simply cannot be. It could be something you can strive towards, and like, okay, I've done it once, maybe I can do it again, but it cannot become your again, that perfect self, perfect golfer mindset, because you are always going to be disappointed. You're always going to be, those expectations are too high. And it's about creating a realistic level of like, I know what is my average. As you said about consistency, well, I know what my average is, and I know how I can do well if I let go of those pressures from around myself. I just swing. This is my as you call it, my potential. And let's say like this, let's just like any athletes. I mean, you can run as fast as you can. It could be a personal record, but there's always going to be someone who's going to run faster than you. So same thing with golf. We have our own physical potential as how good we can be, and how coachable we are, and how can we learn, and how better we can do. And everybody keeps on better and better, hopefully, and refining themselves. But you still have your basic potential. So expecting yourself to perform like someone who's, first of all, been doing it for 30 years or 20 years and is super good and is has a higher natural potential, and not only that, but has he's just better at that, and that's okay. So shifting yourself from expectations of that are unrealistic. Again, that perfect shot you once did or twice, and suddenly it becomes your standard. It's not. It cannot be. So move yourself to like, this is what I can do, and focusing on releasing everything around you so you can just be in the flow. And that's what we talk about, the same place. But so those expectations are again, if you can work on that within yourself and say like, no, that's unrealistic. If that, just because I did it once and I got lucky, doesn't mean I'm going to get lucky all the time.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's not, and it may hurt somebody to say you got lucky, but it is an anomaly. That
Exactly.
300-yard drive that you hit one time it's an anomaly for most people, right?
That's right.
So, and this is, I'll speak golf specific here for a second.
Yeah.
Handicaps for those of you out there. Let's say you have a 10 handicap. So just in general, you're probably going to hope to shoot an 82, but realize this, guys, that's 8 of your best 20 rounds. That's not including 12 rounds of your last 20 that were worse than that. Okay. So this is what I tell people: take your 20 rounds and look for that average, not your handicap, just because your handicap is your best 8. Okay. So you can strive for that 300-yarder, right? But this is my question to you. You strive for it. Let's say you're going to set your expectations now correctly for who you really are. So I really am about let's just say you're a 230 driver. You can strive for that, right? But how do you
here's how you can do it
with a 230? How do you be happy with the 230?
Yeah.
Is my question.
So it's about there's a concept called Kaizen. It's been around for many years. It's about small increments of improvement. And I'm sure you as a golf coach know that really well. Small increments of improvement. You can't expect to be suddenly be 30% better after 1 month of coaching.
Yeah, right. Well, what they expected, Harry, but
they want it. Again, it's unrealistic expectations. It's just not going to happen. You can improve. You can understand it better. You can how to swing better, how to do better. You can always understand the mind game, the routine, the pre-swing routine, all that kind of stuff. You can work on that and become better and better and better. So Kaizen is about small increments of improvement. 1%. Can I be 1% better than before? Can I be 2% better than before? Can I improve on that? So it's working on small refinements that get you better and better and better. Because I'm sure you know that even like after a clinic, I mean, you can get a few points and you can become just a little better, but you can't be like exponentially better after one clinic. You
can't. No.
So
I will say this though. This is the mental game is where I think most people can make that larger than 1% gain by understanding things. And then you go back to swing mechanics and working on that. But this is where most people, I believe, can make massive gains by understanding this and getting their frame of mind correct. Because it's absolutely massive that I see out there with what's caused by mental. So I do believe now this process, as I know that me and you worked on, it wasn't day one that I'm like, it worked immediately. It was over a little process. But it did work immediately, slowly, but then it became fully ingrained into my mind. But I'm not going to say it's as slow learning as golf, but it does take a little bit of practice to learn how to do it, but you can make huge gains mentally. And that's why I think this is so important that we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. And in that way, because you can, again, you release those inhibitors, the things that have distracted you and slowed you down and brought your average down, not because of your mechanics or because of your way of golfing. It's because you are distracted, mentally distracted. Absolutely. Yeah. But I do also want to address one more thing is when you go to that mechanics and we go to like someone like you that trains people and really knows how to coach people and it's like, oh, here's how you can do the swing better. You need to shift your swing. You need to make this movement a little better or start swinging higher, start swinging lower, all that kind of stuff. And people are like, no, I know how to do it. So how is it related to mental game? It is related to mental game in a way like knowing that someone from the outside can see you better than you can see yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing that, if somebody that knows what he's talking about, notices I'm doing something that said like, you're not doing it perfectly well. You can do it better by doing this. And so I need to listen. I need to pay attention because this is how I can improve and focus on. I mean, it's kind of, if you think mentally, kind of a weird thing to say like, no, I know how to swing really well. And then I go to my golf coach and no, I know how to do it, but I want you to help me improve. It's a contradiction. So you are limiting yourself as someone who's going to a coach by not allowing a learning curve, not allowing yourself to like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I should do it better. It doesn't feel right because I'm not used to it, because my body's not used to doing it this way, but I need to relearn this to be better.
Yes, and Harry, one thing on that I tell people is this: is you're really not learning unless you're uncomfortable. And golfers, as in life that we've talked about, we look for comfortability. We want to be comfortable. It's just it's our human nature that we want to be comfortable. We don't want to be put in an uncomfortable place. And I'll say this is, I've always thought this about golf. I've seen hundreds of thousands of hours of swings. I've studied it and everything. And this is the big problem I think with golf is golfers, although they don't have the right concept, they can't see their swing every single time.
That's right.
I think if you got to see your swing in golf every single time, golf would be a completely different game and people would have better knowledge about it, but they don't get to see it. And they hear some bad stuff from people that don't know about it. And it could be a good player says, do this, but what they don't realize that good player is telling them, it's something that helps that person. It's not going to, they don't know what's going wrong with your swing and why you're doing what you're doing. I've yet in my life to have somebody come to me and diagnose their issues correctly. Not once yet. Okay. So it's me looking at it from the way I see it versus you feeling, and feelings are not always correct. What you feel.
That's right.
So I can only say this to all the golfers out there: being uncomfortable is a good thing.
That's right.
It's a really good thing. And you'll get past it. You will get past it. Going for that comfortability, you'll get past it one day. So that's what all the golf pros do. They go through this uncomfortable period and the rewards on the other side are incredible. That you get out of it. I think, Harry, like to wrap this up here, is what we've worked so hard on is the pre-shot routine that you go through. I find that to be the most crucial part that is it's gonna where your shot is gonna go. How we're gonna do is the pre-shot routine has to be, to my mind, almost perfect, and it needs to be repetitive, exact, every single time. Yeah, and just think about it's something you can do. You're not hitting a ball. It's something you can do right every single time, right? So
why don't you tell me what is that pre-shot routine? What is your favorite way of the steps?
And we've talked about it. I like to stand behind the ball, and I like to take a real broad view first of the shot. I'm going to use an example of a par 3. So I just like to look at the trees around there first, a real broad view before I'm even looking at the pin, and just kind of see what's going on, what's around. I'm not worrying about things around, but I'm just seeing, what is this hole about? What is it? What's going on? Is it
giving it a frame?
A big frame? Is the hole pitched this way? Like, what was the designer thinking? Just kind of like get in a large, big picture frame. And then I move from there to the pin, where it is at on the green. Okay. And then I'm starting to look on the green. Is it breaking a certain way? Is it there? And then I think, you know what? Okay, I hit a draw. Typically, that's my easiest shot to hit. I think, can I play a draw into this hole? And if I do, where is it? If I can't, because, hey, I don't want to start it over the water on the right, it's better for me to play a cut. Okay, I go with the cut, and then I'll move it in left to right. Okay. Now, so I've narrowed it down then to, okay, I've decided on the shot. Now, what I do is I visualize myself over the ball, making that perfect swing. And I visualize the ball, the height of the ball, the curvature of the ball landing on the green, and the ball rolling. And you know how long that process takes me, Harry? Half a second, probably.
Yeah.
It's not like
just see it.
10 seconds. Yeah, to see it. It may take you longer in the beginning, but it's crucial that, a lot of people say, oh, I see it landing there. You got to see the height of it. You need to see the whole swing. Yeah. The whole thing happened, and then what happens is your focus becomes on that. Now you're focused on a target area. You're no longer focused on, okay, I got to make sure my swing, I get my hand here. I need to do this. I need to do that. You're focused on what the ultimate goal is: getting the ball from here to there. A guy shooting a basketball doesn't worry about where his elbow and arm are. They're getting the ball into the hoop, right? That's their thought. So we refocus on that. So then from that point, I walk up to the ball. I get lined up, the club and body lined up. I take a look at where I'm going one more time, kind of visualize my shot to the hole. And then I come back to the ball. At that point, I'm breathing in through my nose, out my mouth. And when I'm pretty much done letting that air out of my mouth, I start my swing. That's it.
Beautiful.
This process may have sounded long, but it's a pretty quick process. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty quick. If you need to do a practice swing in there, you can, but that's, stuff we worked on. is how that process through the breathing and what that'll do, and that whole process of going through it. So I think each and one of you need to come up with a process like that and figure out where you're doing it. Your breath may want to be a little different, but what are your thoughts on, that's how I do it.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
And as I said, the focus on the visualization and doing it fully, seeing the height, seeing the level, seeing this, all that stuff is really crucial to shift your mind, and also that you are moving, and at that point you are sending your body and your mind the calculations of what it needs to happen.
Yep.
The body knows what you're expecting in a clearer way than just like bring the ball to that hole. You just need, you see it in a fuller way, and you allow the focus to be on that. So your whole, the intuitive part of your muscle memory and your skill is doing its work together to make it a flawless swing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is what happens is the process doesn't work for me perfect every time, and you know what I do? I start over. I may start visualizing this shot, and my mind wandered, okay, or I see the water over there. I'm like, oh geez. I mean, it's okay to see the water, but I get something coming to my mind. I'm like, start over. So I'll move back from behind the ball and start that process over really quick.
Yes.
Do every step over. Yeah, I mean, and do it right. And most golfers watch TV and they'll see the guys on tour. That's what they do. Exactly. If they get something going on, that you start the whole process over. And like I said, this process does not take long at all. Most of you guys will take longer with your 4 or 5 practice swings. You know what, guys? The mental job, like we're talking about right now, will do a lot more for you than any practice swing. You've already taken enough swings in your life. Work on this part where you're going to make the biggest changes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me, Erik, how people can get a hold of you? What's your website?
I would say website is EJSGolf.com. You can reach out to me at ERIK at EJSGolf.com. You'll find all my info on that website to reach out to me. You'll find videos, a bunch of videos to help you out. I also want to mention this, Harry. We produced a session that you did to help golfers out. So you can go there for free onto my website and find a hypnotherapy session that Harry did. That's a very broad session to help you deal with your mental issues that you have out there. And I shouldn't say mental issues. You say it better than me. But how would you say what you did? I'm going to let you explain. You're going to do better than me.
Just work on your mind game. So just to help you work on your mind game.
Yeah. So I would do this if I were you guys, golfers. Go to my website, listen to that, and then Harry, if they want to talk to you afterwards about that specifically, about what you did and how they can do it, and maybe pursuing this further, what can they do to get a hold of you?
They can reach out to my website, which is harrykroner.com. So www.harrykroner.com. And there's a contact information. You can just reach me out.
Thank you, Harry. This is awesome. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And Harry, he's the job I've seen you do, and the ability you have to understand this stuff and change the way people think about it is absolutely amazing. So I thank you for what you've done for me, and I know you're going to help a lot of other golfers out there. So thank you, Harry.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Erik.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Take care. All right, you take care. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.